Hey guys, it's Steven Smelinich here. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and welcome to my YouTube channel, This Saints Theory. I feel the need right now to be honest as I possibly can with you guys. I need to express myself, some of my self-doubts, some of my worries, some of my fears, and just be really open and personal, because I feel like I'm in a bit of a rough spot, and by being open about it, that's the first step. And so I want to talk about the church and mental illness and what to do about it. But first I want to talk about a story. One of the oldest religions comes from Mesopotamia, and one of the stories that comes from there is where when the gods were creating the earth, they convened a council, and they decided to create man to continue the work of gods. However, in order to do the work of gods, you need a spark of divinity in you. You need a bit of godliness in you. And so, what did they do about man who didn't have any godliness in them? The gods decided to kill one of their own, and then put his spirit or essence in everyone, so they all had divinity in them to continue the work of the gods. And this story, I think there's so much truth to it that very much parallels Jesus Christ and the Atonement, where Jesus Christ knew that people would reject him, that the Jews would want to kill him, and so many people would reject him. And when he died, he would put his spirit or essence in all of us. And when he was resurrected, we were resurrected with him, so that we can continue the work of God on earth and do the work of gods, so to speak. But while he was on the earth, he was teaching us how to be godly, how to really just bring out this divine spark that's in us. And probably the most important lesson, one of the most important lessons he ever taught us, comes from Matthew chapter 22, when a Pharisee came and asked him, "What is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus said unto him, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind." Now pay attention to this. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like unto it, that is, it is similar in nature. It is essentially the same commandment. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. On these two commandments hang all the laws and the prophets. That is, without those things, if people aren't loving God, loving their neighbors as themselves, there can be no law or prophets. And so, essentially, when Jesus says, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself," he's saying that we can't love other people unless we first love ourselves, unless we first recognize that we all have a spark of divinity, that we recognize that we have a godly work to do that's inside of us. And when we recognize that, then we can then extend outward towards other people and recognize the same qualities in them. It's all about that integration that Jung talks a lot about, where we recognize others, that they have similar qualities as us, that we learn to love in ourselves, that we can then go out and love those people despite their flaws, despite their disabilities, despite their illnesses, despite everything that's ever happened to them or everything that they've ever done to us, that we recognize ourselves in them. But of course, it all starts with loving yourself, loving God, which is, they are like unto each other. And so, one of my favorite YouTube channels you'll see in the related sections is a guy by the name of Maxsteret. he's quickly becoming one of my favorite YouTube channels. I love his stuff. He's very smart. He talks a lot about Jungian psychology, and he also talks about religion and the nature of free will and other stuff. And he has Asperger's. And the thing that I admire about him is he's so open about it. He's so willing to talk about it and express himself and expose himself to his audience and allow us to relate to him. And sometimes I wonder if I have a bit of Asperger's in myself when I watch his videos, because I relate to them so much. Though I don't know if I have it completely. Something that I do for sure have is called ADD. Not ADHD, mind you. ADD. That is attention deficit disorder. ADHD is you're just looking all over the place. Like squirrel. But with ADD, it's very self-contained. It's very direct. You still have a busy mind, and it's buzzing all the time. But instead of being distracted by the outside world, you're distracted by your inside world all the time. And oftentimes I'll just have this deadpan stare where I'm just deep in thought, deep into myself, and I don't even realize what I'm looking at. As an example, there was a time on my mission where I was in a bus, deep in thought, and all of a sudden this guy stood up and was like, "Why are you looking at me? You want something? What do you want?" And he came up to me in a very aggressive manner. I just snapped out of it, and I didn't even realize I was staring at the guy. I was just deadpan staring, just super deep in thought. I didn't realize I was looking at anybody in particular. And people don't know what to do. I found that people don't know what to do when you're just staring at them. And so I get this a lot when I'm deep in thought. I just stare directly at something, and sometimes it ends up being someone, and they get offended like that. And so because of this ADD mind, I'm a thinker. I'm constantly thinking. I'm always in my brain. I'm never, as my parents put it, I'm never in the game. I'm never like Jason Bourne, always looking for an exit. Because I'm always looking for an exit in my brain. I'm a very logical person. I'm a thinker. I'm a very introverted, intuitive thinker. And so when things are irrational, I don't know what to do with myself, because there are so many irrational people in the world. There are so many feelers. Humans are very feeling. They tend to feel a lot. Women more so than men. You can see studies about this, that women tend to be feelers more often than men, but there are still male feelers. And I don't know what to do when I come across a feeler, because feeling is just, it can be so irrational. I don't understand what to do when I'm around feelers. I don't know how to connect with them. I sit down, I talk, I say, "Hi, I'm Steven. Oh, what do you do?" And then it just ends right there. I can't connect with everybody because, for one thing, I'm always in my brain. I'm always thinking of things. I'm never thinking about who's around me. But number two, I don't know. I'm not one to just sit and do small talk. I love deep, introspective conversations. I love talking about Carl Jung, Friedrich Nietzsche, Jean-Paul Sartre, the prophets, Joseph Smith, Brigham Young. I love talking about really deep, introspective ideas, like Plato's philosophy of the cave. I like to think I'm the person who's coming out of the cave, and I'm seeing this light, and I want to go back down and tell the people in the cave about it, but they're just sitting there, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about? There's no sun. There's no furry animals. All there is what we see on this wall here." And I just think, but you're in a cave. Go out there and see. And I don't know what to do with those people, because it's so irrational to me that people are just so into their Twitters and their TikToks and their social life that I'm like, I I can't relate to these people. I have to read books, really introspective books of people that are dead, that I find myself relating to far more than people that I see on a regular basis. And it's so frustrating sometimes. But I try to do it, and I'm hoping that by being a little bit more open with you guys, by trying to connect with you guys, that I can learn to heal myself, I can learn to love myself. The thing about Max is he's probably never going to cure his Asperger's, but he's learned to love himself and appreciate himself for who he is. And if there was ever a cure for Asperger's, he doesn't know if he would take it, because he's afraid he would lose an essential part of himself. And I want to get to that point where I can love myself, I can love my attention deficit brain, but still somehow be able to connect with people. I don't want to cure for ADD. I want to be able to, I just simply want to be able to connect to people when I'm sitting there talking to them, and not constantly thinking of random scenarios, and just going out there and putting myself out there. Because something I noticed when I was in a vacation in Greece, I once said something, I can't remember what it was, but I was scolded by my mom because it was apparently something very inappropriate. And I just sat there and I was thinking, how is it inappropriate? What I just said, I don't get it. And even after my mom told me why it was inappropriate, I still didn't get it. I didn't register why what I said was socially inappropriate. And I'm sure I do that all the time. And I'm so awkward around people that it makes them awkward. It makes me feel awkward, and the cycle just repeats and repeats and repeats. And I need to break that cycle. I want to be able to be more social, but I need to figure out a way of where to really begin and really start to just heal myself. And the church, I don't know, I feel like my ADD got worse when I was on my mission, because I'm constantly thinking of these spiritual concepts and what leads to another and another and another, and it just escalates. And so I think my ADD got worse on my mission, but I love the things I learned. I love the things that when I came home, I continued to study the scriptures, and I continued to study outside sources and integrate them with what I had studied in the scriptures. And I love being able to do that. I love being able to talk about movies and how they can possibly relate to the gospel, and I want to continue to do that. But I think I need to be more open and less closed off to the world. So thank you for this ramble I just did. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.